Hello and welcome to the special transmission on Pakistan's 76th Independence Day. I'm Farrukh Pitafi, and today we are celebrating not only the independence but also the memories that come with independence. We have been, free for 76 years, but in those 76 years, what we have achieved, what were the dynamics that we had to face, what were the sacrifices we had to offer. And you must have heard, if you have grown up in this country, that the country is passing through very difficult times, and this is more or less that we have been hearing about. So while the country is beautiful, it is great, it has given us everything, what have we given to the country? So these are the questions that we are going to ask. We will try to understand these issues as well in today's transmission, which starts now and will continue throughout the day. In order to help us understand these issues, we are joined by AVM retired Ijaz Malik sahab, who is senior analyst. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Next to him is Sardar Yasir Ilyas Khan, former president, Islamabad Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Although he doesn't look the part, he is very young. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Let me start with you, AVM sahab. What does today's day actually mean for you? And I'm not looking for attributes, I'm not looking for adjectives, I'm looking for memories or understanding or feelings.
This day, and in fact every day that once I look around, seeing people and the nations who are deprived of essence of independence, I value this day. My conviction increases every time I see the miseries of people in Indian occupied Kashmir, people of Palestine, the refugees of Syria and the conditions in Iraq, all those nations and which have lost their freedom, who have lost what was their legitimate right to govern themselves as an independent group of people over a defined land. I think beyond any rhetorics or beyond any bigger words to express my sentiments, I really value this day, and I pray to Allah Almighty that each one of us value it this way it should be celebrated.
And AVM sir, apart from praying, what have you done to actually treasure this day? How have you contributed to the country?
I was very fortunate who was inducted into an organization and into a system which provided me ample opportunities to learn, then equip myself to perform the role that I was ever assigned. So I think my job was directly connected to safeguarding the aerial frontiers of Pakistan, and this very professional and delicate job was assigned to us in the Air Force, and I take pride and I thank Allah Almighty that we have been able to do our job well.
So you have given to the country whatever was your best, right?
Alhamdulillah.
Let me, I'm coming to you, Sardar sir, but let me welcome the third guest who has just joined, Dr. Sajid Awan, who is a political analyst and expert on international affairs as well. Thank you very much, sir, for being part of the program. Let me ask the same question, put the same question to you, Sardar sir. What does this day mean to you, and how do you actually cherish it?
I think it's a very special day in every sense, like the AVM rightly said. When we look at other countries that may not be as blessed as we are, and we look at how we achieved where we are today with 76 years of independence, how much has been sacrificed, what cost we've paid as a nation, the families that have lost dear ones, loved ones, with all the this instability we've had in the region, the insurgencies in Afghanistan and Pakistan having to face the aftermath with regards to the illegal immigration, as well as the insurgencies which we had, and obviously with the instability with regards to the local blast which we've had. And it's eaten Pakistan up like a cancer. And despite all these challenges, all the external threats, Pakistan is still able to sustain all the collateral damage and move forward, continue moving forward. It's like getting hit, falling down, and getting back up, and striving to move
What do you
forward.
call it? Resilience,
Resilience.
or denial?
Resilience is also Allah's special blessing,
Okay.
and I think sheer commitment, sheer dedication, determination. And as a nation, we've stood strong and faced all the tough times, whether it's the climate change, whether it's natural disasters, and obviously with the geopolitical factors, we've gone through a lot of tormenting times, and yet, alhamdulillah, as a country, we've strived to move forward.
Right, and still we have to actually, I have to ask you, what does it mean to you?
As a Pakistani, I feel great pride. We were born Pakistanis. Had we been born citizens of another country, we would have been there. But since we're in Pakistan, we have to take ownership of this country. I hold a Pakistani passport, and when I go abroad, when people ask me I'm from Pakistan, I tell them a lot more than about myself. I tell them about the country. I try portraying a positive image, and I think that's important for all of us to become ambassadors of Pakistan and tell the world what this country really is about, who we're about, what we're about, and what this country has to offer to the world, so that we're able to open our doors and people can come and see the real Pakistan. That's the only way we're going to move forward.
Right, and when I come back to you, I'm going to actually zero in on this, because because you're glib, you actually get away with many things, right? You still haven't answered my question, but let me actually very quickly bring in Dr. Awan. Dr. Awan, what does this day mean to you?
Yeah.
And how do you celebrate it?
Yeah, thank you very much, Pitafi sir. You know, every event in the world history has some certain significance.
Right.
And I think this is the most unique event of the last century, which has basically not only changed the world scenario, because being a unique country established in the name of an ideology, we need to reiterate that basically have we fulfilled the mission which we were meant for, what actually we are supposed to do. And to me, this is basically recalling that message. Every event has two sorts of implications, like one is message and the other is blood. Blood was offered by our forefathers, and they gave us a message. We needed to carry that message forward.
Right. Not only our forefathers, even our generation is offering
Yes.
blood sacrifices.
Yes, exactly.
In the war on terror and so many other things.
Yeah.
Right?
Just to keep alive that message, you need to pour in blood every time. You know, one dimension is to give fresh blood, and the other aspect is to carry that message forward. Transfer it to the coming generations. Tell them basically what basically is the rationale of creating an ideological state. What basically we were meant for, and this was not just the establishment of a country. It was just a unique ideology which basically laid the foundation of this state. And this was the only country by the time which was established in the name of ideology.
Right. But here's the interesting part, right?
Yeah.
Ideology's main function is to create something, right?
Oh, yes.
Once it is created, then you switch gear and you move on to something else. That is a dream, a collective dream, right?
Wonderful.
So what exactly is Pakistani dream, by the way? We keep on hearing about American dreams.
Yes.
What is Pakistani dream?
Well, it's very important question for that matter. You know, generally we stick to the history, but history basically is determining your future.
Right.
And in this way, the aspect which you are asking, that basically what dream that was. Initially, we wanted to have an egalitarian society, and just what I say, that we need to come out of some sort of apologetic perspective that we could not do anything. You look, Pitafi Sahab, the country which we established in 1947 is not the same now. Now we have covered many milestones.
Right.
We
are more egalitarian now.
Them.
Are we more egalitarian now?
To a certain extent.
How?
In one way, look, we were having different dimensions. It is a multivariate society. Coming up with a perspective that our masters, the British, they were having unitary form of government, but we decided to have federal form of government because we basically needed federal democracy with multivariate society.
Right. And we are going to actually go into those details also, because now you have reached the constitution, which is important.
Yes.
But I first want to actually come back to AVM Saab and ask him, Regarding where we are at right now, AVM sir, so we keep on talking about whenever we are celebrating independence, we are talking about what happened 76 years ago, and B, we are talking about the recent past, not today. There are many challenges. Economy is struggling, and there are umpteen other problems as well. What does it tell anybody about our collective effort as a nation?
Before I answer your question, with your permission, the same question that you asked Dr. Sahib. My take on this is that why Pakistan was created. The vision of our great Qaid was that Muslim being, after the departure of our colonial masters, the Muslim being in minority, they will be deprived of certain basic rights, and they will not have the opportunities to excel, and they would be exploited at the hands of Hindus, who had the total control of the economy and who were better educated than the Muslims.
More privileged.
More privileged class. But unfortunately, what happened was that after death of Qaid, we sort of dumped his vision, which was, not predominantly, the excellence of this newly formed state and nation as society. In my reckoning, our Muslim identity wasn't threatened as much as our economical existence and well-being was threatened in the Muslim Hindu majority India.
Right. And you can see the trailer of that every day in Modi's India. Every day we keep on seeing what is happening.
Yes, but
recently in this small district called Nu, where Muslims are being butchered and attacked.
But unfortunately, the deprivation and the exploitation that the great Qaid with his visionary leadership feared, we were facing the same phenomena from our own feudal lords, who took over this country once a political vacuum was created after, because after Quaid-e-Azam and Liaquat Ali Khan, then obviously there wasn't any political leadership which could take over and deliver as per the vision of great Qaid.
But right now you're talking about 1940s, 1950s, 1960s. I'm talking about 2023, right? So today, especially since you're joining, compared to Pakistan's life, you're joining the Air Force is a relatively recent phenomenon, right? This generation, your generation, my generation, have we dropped the ball, sir? Or are we actually fulfilling the purpose of Qaid?
I would say the answer is yes and no. In certain areas, because in certain areas we have delivered. For example, a country which wasn't making even office paper clip or a needle, the country ultimately managed to be a nuclear power, and we are making a sophisticated weapon system like JF-17 Thunder, and we have excelled in so many industries. And I think individually every family in Pakistan has progressed from where their forefather left in early 50s or 60s. Right. But collectively, I mean, this is half glass full and half glass, empty situation.
Remember, and I think the audience is also observing this, that we are marking ourselves right now.
Yes.
So when you say glass is half full or empty,
yes,
you're telling that, okay, I might have missed some certain things, but still,
but we have accomplished so many things, but unfortunately
aren't we giving ourselves a lot of grace marks?
But if that is also at times necessary to keep our motivation level and commitment level alive, because if we keep bashing our previous generation, our generation, and we say that
we are not bashing our generation, we are holding it accountable.
Sir, we are not a total failure.
Of course,
yes.
But you understand how does it sound when you say we are not total failures?
Because we always measure what we could have done better. Yes,
absolutely.
We could have done everything better.
Absolutely.
But we have accomplished, we must cherish that as well.
Absolutely. And this, because especially we are talking about economy right now. Let me ask you, Sardar sir, because you have actually, you come from entrepreneurial class, and you can actually tell us where does our weakness lie, because economy is struggling. The rest, of course, he's right. Our army, armored forces are doing their job really well. I mean, India is, how many times India is bigger, but we caught their pilot and returned him after making him drink our tea, right? But tell me about our economy. Why is it so?
The biggest problem in Pakistan lies in policy, and we've got everything. We have all the human resource required. We have all the natural resources, minerals, everything we need. One of the most beautifully diversified location in terms of demographics as well as geography. Look at the west and look at the north.
All seasons.
All seasons are there, all the fruits are there, yet policy is what we're lacking. I think with the civilian government, what they failed to achieve is establishing an institutionalized model. It should be irrelevant on who's sitting on the portfolio as long as the portfolio parameters are defined for it to be followed.
Yeah, but
And that's
we are talking about economy, right?
Absolutely,
We
absolutely.
are not merely talking about the state.
It trickles
I'm
down
talking
to
about business community
agreed.
as well.
It trickles down to policy. If the policy is given and the business community is empowered, we will be able to do so much more. So example, today, the policy rate is 23%.
Yeah.
If I were to try setting up a new factory or a new plant or a new project,
can't.
I wouldn't be able to afford it. And
Absolutely.
that again goes down to the other side of it, that as opposed to investing in circulation of wealth, that money is going into banks where I'm offered a fixed deposit rate of 20% minus tax,
Absolutely.
15%.
Granted that.
So circulation is not
But
there.
before that happened, we had to go to IMF.
Yes.
And it was one of their demands, right?
Yes.
So why did we continuously have to go to IMF?
That's the point. So we derailed that vision.
Not only
which-
policy,
yes.
there must be some problem with the economy itself, the
We
business community as
Agreed. We derailed ourselves alongside that path of growth in 1960s when we had established these huge industrial states and we had planned that we're going to become
well. And I'm really, I really like it when people keep on talking about 60s, but I think we forget that there were two parts of Pakistan at that time.
Yep.
We keep on looking at what was happening in West Pakistan. We don't see it, what exactly was going on in East Pakistan, where taxation was taking place, manufacturing was not.
Yes.
Production was taking place, right? So we cannot call 1960s as an ideal model.
As a nation, we've also failed to realize that the country can't run on its own. We have to contribute.
Yeah.
And a classic example today of 2023 is what is tax collection? Not the target, what is the real tax collection willing system? I mean, we were just talking about this off air a while ago, that this is probably the only country in the world where you have a non-filer category, whereas in other parts of the world, a non-filer would be considered as a criminal who is not contributing to the tax system. And similarly, with regards to our current system at the moment with what we have in place, our economy is not able to grow. We're contracting as opposed to expanding. This year we had a negative GDP growth, and next year I'm seeing the same thing. Again, comes down to policy, which again correlates with the businessman mentality. That wealth, which should be in Pakistan, is actually flying abroad to places like Dubai and places like London because we don't feel there's a conducive environment in Pakistan. Not just the political instability, it's about the economic uncertainties, which is a risk for an investor. The other side is still businessmen like myself that have faith. And this is why we come down to the guide's vision on what he said. Have faith, unity, and discipline. So it's not just faith in the country, but faith in religion itself. And in unity, become one nation first. And discipline is what we're really, really lacking on all fronts. There's no discipline with regards to our rules and regulations which should be followed. They're in paper, but they're not being enforced, whether it's on a government level or on a private level. And this is a whole disconnect. So we need to bridge that gap, and that's going to come with a lot of effort and many years of struggle. It can't happen overnight. Today's youth is far more educated than the previous generation. They're far more proactive. They're far more ambitious. But we need to retain that as opposed to having all the brain drain.
Again, when we actually make a statement like that, we are actually looking perhaps not at demography, right? 65% youth.
Yep.
We don't know how many are literate, how many are not. You are saying that they are more educated, but perhaps you are talking about
67% literacy rate.
Yeah, but you're perhaps talking about the urban,
Not the rural. The rural is not there,
you don't know, we don't know what exactly might be the quantum of education there, especially the more educated class, right? But let me actually, thank you very much for your honest answer. Let me very quickly, I keep on saying very quickly, but you have every right to speak as much as you want, Dr. Awan. I asked AVM Saab to actually hold his own generation and his own profession accountable, ditto here. So academe.
Yeah.
Do you think that academe is really contributing to the country? It seems that we are creating too many universities as industry.
Yeah.
but perhaps the quality of education has gone down.
You may say in one sense, but on the other side, being an optimistic person, what I see, I mean, all the time we say that we don't have the teachers now as we have 50 years back.
Yeah.
Had they been that good, we would have been better.
But you're a teacher, right? You're a teacher, right?
Yes.
A pedagogue.
Oh, yes.
Very quickly again, let me remind you
Yeah.
that the charge of a teacher is
Yeah.
not to be optimistic or pessimistic, but
Oh, yeah.
realistic.
Oh, yes. Oh,
So
yes.
what is realism here?
I would say that generally being over pessimistic, we get away from realism. Realistically speaking, what I see, since I am a part of Ijaz University, I see that I visited lot many European universities, but I found that the academia here is exceptional.
Right.
The
You
student here is
realize that you are associated with the best
No,
universities
maybe.
in public sector, right?
But generally I feel,
But if you talk about new universities that have been created
Yeah.
in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah.
do you think that they are also offering the same kind of quality?
let me once again give you a realistic picture. You know, we have been having a vacuum at the college level because role of college at graduation level had been removed. You will accept this reality. Now we came up with this new model that, okay, we are going towards BS system, which is American system, and that is a prevalent system which will be completing your 16 years of education.
Yeah.
Now switching from one to the other system, it takes some time. This-
76 years?
Oh, no. This is quite a recent
but
shift. Yeah,
But
you
we have
may
been
say.
there. Our universities have been there. Our
Yes.
educational system has been around.
Yes,
There must be some thought that went into this decision.
you know, all
It
that
must
was,
have some history as well.
oh yes, all that was going through annual system. Now all the universities have switched from annual to the semester system. Shift always needs some price. You know, this is basically a transition from one to the other stage, but I am,
And Dr. Saab, what will you say to those who complain that we keep on investing in universities,
Yes.
whereas our real problem, as you pointed out, colleges, but I'm going to go even deeper
Yeah.
on the primary level, secondary level,
yeah.
that we are not teaching our children that well.
Oh yes, you know that requires. We are having higher education system. I had been recommending to the policy makers and to our politicians that we should have primary education commission as well. We should have secondary education commission as well. You have very rightly pointed out, Pitafi Sahab, that if you don't educate your children at the elementary level and you start giving them very higher kind of education, it is just like polishing your shoes with your foot without shoes. So first you need to train your nursery, and nursery is your primary and elementary education.
You're talking about a primary, administration or some kind of body.
Yeah.
You realize that when you talk about HEC,
Yeah.
even HEC is over-centralized,
Yeah.
essentially, even despite the fact
Yeah.
that we have promised
Yeah.
that after 18th Amendment it will be devolved to the provinces, and that is a problem.
Yes, but
So
still,
which government should actually create these bodies?
government is realizing these things.
No,
Pitafi Sahab.
provincial governments or federal governments?
Yes, both. Look, earlier.
How can you
our-
have federal?
I give
and
you sir an
primary?
example. We were having a federal Ministry of Education,
Yeah.
but after 18th Amendment, government realized, and now they have renamed it as Ministry of Federal Education and Professional Training. This creates a difference. Federal Ministry of Education and Ministry of Federal Education.
Okay.
It means that we are going towards that federalism, and we are going to realize that education since has been devolved to the provincial level.
And
So
HEC has also been devolved.
HEC is over centralized so far that you are right.
So you can change the label of the bodies, but you cannot change the
But
nature.
at the same time, all the 4 provinces are having their own HECs, HEDs, higher education departments.
Okay.
Now the things are shifting from center to the provinces.
Okay.
Now what we need basically, we are not heading towards financial devolution.
Okay.
As long as finances are lying with HEC, Higher Education Commission, at the central level.
For primary, do you think that even provinces, very high, actually it should go to the, district level?
District level, yeah, exactly.
That's correct.
It's very important.
That's correct.
You know, And not only that, we will be shifting education, our academic bureaucracy to the district level. Rather, the most important thing to me is financial devolution. If you are not making that district
that is our
financially
weak
viable,
spot. Even during General Musharraf's time, when we were devolving power,
Yes.
the biggest problem was we never did devolve money.
Yes,
And
exactly.
that becomes a problem. Let me come back to you, AVM Saab, and let me ask you regarding something that I asked Dr. Saab at the start, but I kept on talking about other things. Pakistani dream. When you talk to a young man, right, you can talk about ideology, but ideology is something that is there, right? There's something else that keeps on evolving, and that is a dream that you offer to the young, that you come back to Pakistan or study here, and you're going to have some kind of future. So what exactly in your mind is the definition of Pakistani dream?
Pakistan's dream was Qaid's vision, I would say, and which was a country, a place where everyone has approach and access to quality health, quality education,
Egalitarianism. Right.
and where there are equal opportunities and there are no marginalized classes based on their ethnicity or their location, whether they are in the urban areas or they are in the far-flung areas of Pakistan. So that's the Pakistani dream, that anybody who puts in his heart and soul and wants to excel should be afforded those opportunities by the state.
Right. Americans keep on saying that Donald Trump somehow, symbolized American dream, right? That you get rich, you marry whosoever you want to, you'll live a lavish lifestyle, and then you enter politics as well. Do you think this is also Pakistani dream?
As far as the economic side of this dream is concerned, yes, but we have our own value system and we have our own social norms. So probably we should look for a dream which is purely indigenous.
Yeah, Islamized version of American dream, right?
Maybe.
Okay, that's very honest of you actually. Sardar Sahab, your take on Pakistani dream?
Look, I think it's about freedom of speech, freedom of expression, which many countries still today don't have it, even though they may portray that it's a free country. I mean,
in the West, they are actually trying to pervert the idea of freedom of speech now. The way all of a sudden Nazis speak
it's being exploited.
It has become free speech.
Yes.
That becomes a problem.
And obviously a place where you have an equal opportunity in terms of employment, in terms of wealth generation, a place where you feel secure, where you feel pride, and you're proud of whatever you own, and you actually do own what you buy, and as opposed to having a sponsor behind it.
Yeah.
And I think those are some of the benefits that many countries, again, like I said, still today are struggling to achieve in terms of sponsorship and employment, and also in terms of sale of properties.
Yeah.
In terms of the ideal environment, Pakistan is obviously lagging behind. We're still not able to have a government education system which is at par with the private setup, or a healthcare system in which basic necessities of the average citizen of Pakistan are there, not just in terms of affordability, but in terms of quality healthcare.
Yeah, but so far you're talking about collective dreams, right? The basics that the state has to offer.
Yeah.
But my question was more about the common man on the street. If you're talking to a boy and you're going to market the idea of Pakistan and that you should stay here and not go abroad, you have to offer some kind of idea or some kind of dream. And I understand that it might be difficult for you to conceive because you're part of the affluent class, but in the West or elsewhere, usually it is thought that the dream was a classless society, where all citizens are considered equal, and then if a commoner wants to be rich, there's always space for vertical mobility. Do you think that we have that kind of space in Pakistan?
It's a hard answer on this, but ideally we don't.
Okay.
A
Ideally
common man.
we don't.
I mean,
Practically we don't.
Practically we don't. Ideally we should, but we do not. And unfortunately, the average person, when we reflect on his basic vision, would be to be able to go home, be able to have a decent meal, be able to send his kids to school, be able to pay his utility bills, and live a decent life without having to worry about the income.
But that is, very basic, right?
Yeah, and look, it starts from there. If you're able to maintain a decent household, have some savings left over, you're able to plan for something ahead. I mean, we need to set up, an environment where we're offering entrepreneurship to individuals, to students at least, to tell them that this country needs more, job creators and less job seekers.
Let me invert the question. Let me give you two examples. Right? Google was invented in a dorm room. Right? Similarly, Facebook. Do you think that in Pakistani dorm rooms we have the capacity that somebody can have, one-hit wonder?
This is what we need, and we can have it. We've told many of the youth that we interact with amongst the academia, because we're trying to bridge this gap with industry and academia. We tell them that we need to look at tried and tested models, go think global and act local.
Yeah.
So implement it and revolutionize it based on the local needs. We don't need to reinvent it. We just need to copy and paste it based on whatever works locally. And that's where there's growth in Pakistan. Pakistan still hasn't, for example, we're looking at Amazon. We still don't have online e-payment portals established to be able to set up a similar platform. But nevertheless, we still have brands selling using payment on delivery.
Yeah.
So there are alternatives. I mean, this is more like a temporary fix.
Yeah, but that is a long way to go.
It's not stopping you from the growth. So I still feel Pakistan as a developing nation has that margin, that space available.
So what do you think of the outgoing government's recent VC fund, venture capitalist fund? Do you think that kind of an idea can actually really create some kind of opportunity?
If it materializes, the previous government, even before this government, also said that we're going to start with an SME fund, and we've always neglected the SME sector.
Yeah, but our problem with SME bank and authorities is that they only tell you about cattle rearing, right? Or for that matter, similar kind of issues. If you go to their website, most of the projects are about that.
But we need to go beyond that.
Telling them to actually invest their time in silicon technology or something else. Right?
There you go. I mean, e-commerce is the future. We're also looking at Bitcoin. We don't have any platform where we can actually trade.
Bitcoin is a tricky subject
it
all
is,
over the
but
world.
the state bank needs to start regulating. We have to open up to the world and see what the world is doing and where the world markets are moving. We have blockchain technology set up elsewhere. Pakistan
blockchain, I agree. But the problem with all these cryptos,
regulation.
No, the cryptos is that a lot of it is grift, and we can see that what is happening to SBF and others. That is.
They're all alternatives. Look, I mean, we still don't trade world markets in Pakistan.
Yeah.
We're primarily in an insulating environment, insulated economy. We're just trading local stocks. We can go way beyond this.
I'm told that we have to conclude in 2 minutes. So, Dr. Saab, your take on
Quickly.
Pakistani dream again.
Yeah.
No. You can take my time.
All right.
Yeah.
Play it.
And if you want to speak even further, I can fight with my producer to get you more time. Please go ahead.
This is basically is a time when we need to think it very seriously. One thing which I will like to highlight, that this is not an ordinary piece of land. You know, this is a land which basically hatched 5 major religions of the world. This is a land which basically cradled 5 major civilizations of the world. So people here are exceptional. They basically are coming up with lot many ideas. That is why we are sometimes we are experimenting many systems, having 3 constitutions, having exceptional politicians like Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, then Benazir Bhutto, and then many other seniors, and then another experience.
I see you struggling to find a third name.
Having exceptional, having exceptional military officers, then having Arfa Karim, having this recent child who has discovered glasses. If a driver driving sleeps, he will be alarmed.
Yeah, and all I totally agree with the aspirational aspects that you are highlighting. But with due respect, when you lose me when you say now we have to do this.
No.
Because actually, if you haven't done it in 76 years, why should I believe that you are going to do it now?
That is what I am saying. We had been always playing ideal. Having Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, it was 30 years back.
Yeah.
Having Benazir Bhutto, it was 20 years back.
Yeah.
So,
but both are dead.
Oh yeah, I mean, this is sacrifice. This is giving blood. Yeah. I mean, every system needs sacrifices.
Giving blood is okay. Taking blood is not.
No.
Yeah. and very quickly.
We are here to offer basically these sacrifices, and we need to honor these sacrifices, which are politicians, which are security forces, which are civilians are basically offering. Yeah. We need to, in order to keep that message alive, we need to honor these sacrifices.
When I was talking to you, Dr. Saab, I was looking at AVM Saab, and I thought that I'm thoroughly disturbing him by being pessimistic. So AVM Saab, don't worry. When we go to the second segment, I'm going to actually try to compensate that as well. But I wanted to have some raw truth for the audience.
I
We
think
wanted to have soul searching.
that's essential. That's essential
Right.
to
and
progress.
on that, I'm told that we have to conclude this segment. AVM Sahab, thank you very much, sir, for
Thank
your
you.
time. Sardar Yasir, Ilyas Khan Sahab, thank you very much, sir, for your time. Dr. Sajid Awan, thank you very much, sir.
Honored, sir.
Yeah, not only this, you are also my class fellow.
Oh, yes.
We were together in a camp,
That's
right?
a great
So
honor for
that
me.
that is also a great honor for me as well. Thank you very much, sir, for being part
Thank
of the
you.
program. Viewers, the transmission will continue, but our panel will change. We have to take a break. When we come back, we are going to resume right from here. Take a break.